Obesity is a growing epidemic in the United States. Over the past 20 years, there has been a dramatic increase in obesity in this country. More than 1/3 of adults and 17% of children and adolescents are obese. Doctors say it can lead to increased risks in many health problems, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers. For some patients, bariatric surgery can be the start of a whole new life.
Obesity, I always call it the overlooked epidemic, because many of the diseases that it produces are addressed, but the actual epidemic it isn't. It is soon to be the #1 preventable cause of death. It is going to overtake cigarette smoking. Probably about 344,000 people a year die from cigarette-related deaths, and obesity is catching up. About 190 million people, or 2/3 the population of the United States, are overweight or obese, and there are 14 million people that are obese in the United States.
Obesity really is a complex problem. It's a combination of environmental factors, hereditary factors. It's a bigger problem than, hey, you're fat.
When you say overweight, for instance, I'm overweight. My BMI is about between 26 and 27. And I'm a little overweight. You become obese when your body mass index, we go by body mass index, which takes into account your height and your weight. And you become obese when your body mass index is above 30. And then you become what we call severely obese, or what we call class 2 obesity, when your body mass index is above 35. And then you become morbidly obese when your body mass index is greater than 40. And then, because the population has gotten so large, we've actually had to add categories. What we call super obesity, body mass index above 50, super obesity when body mass index is above 60, and then mega obesity when your body mass index is above 70. Well, we want all patients to try to lose the weight on their own. The diets that you see here, many of them they can lose weight with, but they can't keep it off. They lose 50, they gain back 50, they gain back 60, they lose 60, they gain back 100, and they kind of yo-yo through life, gaining and losing. Curing this epidemic is not, all surgery. Okay, I think for people that are suffering from the ravages of obesity, I think that surgery is the one thing that absolutely works when most other things don't. But I think the prevention of the epidemic and to cure the epidemic is going to have to be approached on, many fronts. Education, our school system, the food industry, exercise, changing our environment, bicycle paths to get to work, many different things. The sleeve gastrectomy is actually one of the newer operations that we do. Many people are requesting it today. It's actually, we remove approximately 85% of the stomach. And we make the stomach, which usually looks like a sack, it looks like a thin banana, or maybe the size of a hot dog. So it decreases the capacity of your stomach of about 85%. And it works in two ways. There's a hormone in your stomach called ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes you hungry. When you haven't eaten all day and you're starving and just have to get to food, that hormone is produced in your stomach and works in an area of your brain. When you remove 85% of the stomach, you reduce the ability of the stomach to produce significant quantities of that hormone, and it virtually takes your appetite away, or really reduces your appetite. And then when you do eat, because you only have about 15% of your stomach, you're satisfied very easily.
I had the sleeve, the gastric sleeve. I had tried, other programs and stuff. It's just, it would work for a little while, and then I would gain all the weight back, and usually more. So I just had some health issues as far as like joint problems and cholesterol and stuff like that. So that's what made me decide to look into it. There was a lot of fear, but you have a lot to do before you get to that point. It took me almost like 6 months, because he's very thorough, and you have to have all these clearances from all these other doctors and stuff. And then you have to take all these nutrition classes. So it takes a while to get there. And then the day of the surgery, everything went fine. It was laparoscopic. It wasn't a big deal at all, as far as pain-wise and stuff like that. It Wasn't bad. I had it July the 26th. I have lost 80 pounds.
I weigh 260 pounds. I have been overweight all my life. As a child, grammar school, high school, early adult, all of that, and had tried every diet that's out there. I would lose weight, be happy, gain it back, plus some. So it was just a vicious cycle. I never could lose the weight and keep it off. Well, I'm a nurse, and being on your feet for extended periods of time, my feet would ache. Knees. My knees creaked going up and down the steps and those kinds of things. And then go up a flight of stairs, I would be short of breath. Never took the stairs, always took the elevator. I've got health issues, hypertension. My blood sugar was beginning to creep up a little bit, just a little above normal, but I didn't want to be a diabetic. I didn't want to depend on medication. I think I had finally gotten to the place in my life where this is it. This is the thing I've got to do, and I was ready. Don't misunderstand now, the surgery is not the fix-all for those of us that are overweight. It's a tool for us to use. I went to Dr. Washington's weight loss seminar, and I went thinking that I would have the band. I thought that's the simplest, probably the less complicated, that's what I would do. But after hearing the different choices about the different surgeries, I went away from there feeling that the sleeve was probably the best thing for me. There was minimal pain. It was like the burning sensation from where the little incisions were, but I remember laying there thinking, gosh, this hurts, and I did this to myself. But it was not bad. Dr. Washington had explained that there could be pretty significant nausea following this procedure just from the manipulation of the surgery itself. I was very blessed and did not have any of that. Then later that day, after he made rounds, I was up, out of bed, walking to the room, doing pretty much what I felt like doing. Not pain-free and no nausea. I had the surgery on September 13th, and I have lost 75 pounds.
At my heaviest, I was 258 pounds. I did have a problem as a child. I always have been overweight, at least, if not frankly obese. And then as time went by, of course in high school you try so hard to control that, but then by the time I finished out college and all, I really had more of a problem than I'd ever had. I think that I have actually successfully lost weight several times, between, I'd say, about 70 pounds and 100 pounds, at least 3 or 4 times. But in the end, my biggest problem was I could not stay that way for more than a couple of years. And so that's what really led me to bariatric surgery. I had done several popular weight loss programs and had been successful at taking it off, just not at keeping it off. At my stage in life, that was my biggest concern, was my health. I had grown okay with being overweight compared to other people. I was much more at ease than I had been as a youngster with it. But certainly health-wise, I was suffering. I have a job that I'm on my feet a lot all day, and it was really difficult. All my joints were breaking down. I was having some blood pressure issues. I felt like diabetes was probably right around the corner because 2 of my siblings who suffered from obesity both became diabetic. And so that was my biggest reason for doing it, and also the reason for hoping to maintain that as well is all about health. It really wasn't bad. They did an excellent job of controlling pain and nausea, because after any bariatric procedure, nausea is a huge thing. I mean, anytime you interrupt the GI system, it is not happy. And so I had really very little nausea altogether, so I was pretty happy. I think one of the harder things about it probably is before you go to surgery, you're on an all-liquid diet for a couple weeks, and after surgery, really for the balance of about 3 weeks, you're on mostly liquidy foods. So, you know, that's a little more challenging. After surgery is easy though, because you don't want to eat really, or I did not. I'm a veterinarian, so a lot of my clients come in and maybe they haven't seen me for 6 months. So they'll be like, oh my gosh, what did you do, you know? And I'm really not very closed about that. I know some people feel very private about that and other people less so. But I just am pretty honest about it. I just am like, well, actually, I had 75% of my stomach removed and it really helped me not eat as much. So, you know, they do seem surprised a lot. I've lost 75 pounds in about 6 months, and it is probable that in the next 6 months I'll lose between 20 and 30 more.
We do surgery even on adolescents. But now we're seeing type 2 diabetes showing up in kids as young as 10 and 12 years old. So diabetes is the #1, you know, health risk, and diabetes is a disease that affects all the blood vessels in your body and can basically, you know, ravage you, we say, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes.
I think the day of surgery, I think I weighed 230, 240. I was 18, and I can't remember what happened one day, but I just like broke down to my mom and started crying about it. And then she had mentioned the lap band, and we went to the seminar, and I didn't think, I have a problem with keeping weight off. Like I could eat, like I wouldn't hardly eat and I would gain weight. And I wanted to do the sleeve, and my mom was kind of anxious about it. But we went in and talked to him, and he said that he thought the sleeve was the best thing for me. I want to be able to go out and do stuff, and I don't want to have to sit back and watch while everybody else does it, because I can't do it because I was overweight. I had it May 12, 2011, 100 pounds. I was a size 20 when I had it, and I'm a size 4 now. So it's a lot easier buying clothes. I don't feel like, I always felt awkward buying clothes, like being in there and trying them on. And I would get like upset if I couldn't wear something, and now I don't even feel like I have to try anything on.
Another bariatric surgery option available to patients is the gastric band, or lap band, which received FDA approval in the United States in 2001.
You know, the lap band's a silicone band that goes around the upper portion of your stomach, and it makes it, when you eat about 4 ounces of food, you feel full. It also takes your appetite away somewhat, probably not as much as a sleeve gastrectomy. It's a nice alternative for, I think, for patients that don't need to lose a tremendous amount of weight, okay, somewhere in the road. I get a little hesitant in doing bands on people that have a lot of weight to lose, because it's a very, very slow weight loss, and it doesn't produce as much weight loss as some of the other procedures. But the benefits of a band is that it's a very, very safe procedure. It can be done in about 30 minutes, ambulatory, you can go home the same day. It's probably less risky than a gallbladder operation.
I was up to 230. Probably after I had my second child, it's not, and I didn't get like really heavy, but I started noticing that the weight didn't come off as easy. And then I had my third child, and then it became a problem. And over the years, I just kind of would gain a little bit of weight here and there, and then I quit smoking. And I think I gained like 20 pounds. It was a very difficult decision, and I played with it for a couple of years, actually. And I kept thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not the best way to do it. I can get the weight off, and I can keep it off. And I would go on a diet, and I would get some weight off, and I would gain the weight back, and then, you know, a little bit more. And I said, well, maybe I should, you know, think about this. And, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I kind of just, you know, as you get a little bit older, and the weight keeps creeping up, and depression keeps getting worse, it's like you say, okay, enough's enough. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I chose lap band because, for one, I can have it removed. For two, it's I guess in some aspects it's safer, and I felt more comfortable with it. It was something that where if things were kind of going wrong laparoscopically, we could just stop. And I wouldn't necessarily have to go through with it, where if it was one of the bigger surgeries, you know, might have to keep going. So I felt for me it was a better decision. And plus I didn't feel like I was really, truly heavy enough to go for the major surgery. I thought the band was the best decision for me. Yeah, I was a little nervous. The one good thing is I do work at the hospital, and so I know the people in the hospital, and you know, they were coming in the morning and talking to me and what have you, and I said, you know, you guys got to take care of me, you know, I'm nervous, and you know, and but it was I felt good because I knew what I was doing was good for me. It was the right decision for me, and I was going to feel better. Well, the surgery is pretty simple, really. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes, very small incisions. You go home the same day, very little pain and discomfort afterwards. September 2nd of last year. Since my surgery, I've lost 29 pounds.
But the gastric bypass, we actually just bypass the stomach. We make a small stomach that holds about 4 ounces, 3 to 4 ounces of food. And we bypass the stomach and bypass a piece of the intestine. And the gastric bypass has been, you know, the gold standard operation in the United States. The first one, believe it or not, was done in 1969. And then we were able to do it laparoscopically through tiny little incisions, operating on TV monitors with a little camera in the belly in the late 1990s. And it has been the most common operation done for weight loss and has done really well for the obese patients. I think that it's becoming a little bit less common now because it does have long-term side effects with vitamin and mineral deficiencies and ulcers and bowel obstructions. But in some, it's still a very good option. I think it's still our best surgery for curing diabetes. It cures 85% of type 2 diabetes, and it usually cures it within a few weeks of the surgery. Patients that are even on, you know, large amounts of insulin can be expected to, you know, get rid of that insulin in like 3 weeks after surgery. They're just amazed that they're no longer a diabetic.
I got on the scale at 265 pounds and was horrified. I'm about 5'4", and my primary care doctor told me I was headed fast and furiously towards diabetes. I had high blood pressure, I had high cholesterol, I had horrible acid reflux, and she suggested that I needed to think about doing something serious. I had done hypnosis, I had done Weight Watchers, I had done every diet known to man, grapefruit diet, Atkins, Pritikin, you name it, we tried it. And they all worked for a while, and then they stopped working. And I found that I didn't go places. I found excuses not to do things. I get migraines. Well, I got a lot of convenient migraines when there were things I didn't want to do because I couldn't find the appropriate clothes, nothing fit. I had a closet that went from size 18 to size 28 and got up the morning of August 12th, 2009 and got in the car and went to the hospital. It was the best health decision I ever made. I don't have any cholesterol problems. I don't have any heart problems. I don't have any acid reflux. I am nowhere near being concerned about diabetes at all. I can tie my own shoelaces. I can cross my legs. I'm so proud of that fact. I can cross my legs. I can walk the 2 miles in my development and I'm not winded. It's just such a difference. Yes, I had that buyer's remorse 2, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out when you're just getting your bearings. And I thought, what did I do to myself? I'll never eat this again or that again. And yes, I've never had a fast food hamburger since. But I don't miss it. It was the big step. It's the best thing I ever did. It's the absolute best thing I ever did. August 12th, 2009, and I lost 103 pounds.
So how much weight can people expect to lose, and what must they do to keep it off?
We always talk, when we talk about how much weight, we don't talk in actual pounds. We always talk in what percentage of your excess weight you can lose. Okay, obviously if you lose 100% of your excess weight, you become perfect weight. Okay, most of these operations you will not lose 100% of your excess weight. I do have some patients that do that, but they're the ones that usually really follow a very strict diet. They're usually the ones that become gym rats. They're just in the gym constantly, and they have gotten down to their perfect weight. But most people don't, and I think that operations like the sleeve gastrectomy and the gastric bypass can give you somewhere between 60, 70, excess weight loss, and lap bands traditionally have given you about 48% excess weight loss.
Lifestyle change is key to being successful with bariatric surgery. Bariatric surgery is just a tool. If you do not change your lifestyle in terms of the foods you select, and if you are not being physically active, you are not going to be as successful. You will lose weight, but you won't lose the most amount of weight you could possibly use.
I do exercise every day for at least 30 minutes. And I try to switch it up so it's not the same thing every day, you know, to some types of like of aerobic thing, to swimming at the gym or walking, just different things. And then I couldn't eat just like one cookie or something. I would eat like a whole sleeve of cookies or something like that, or like one piece of pizza. I could eat the whole pizza. I can't do that anymore, so it makes it, you know, it's a lot better.
It is a lifestyle change, and it's a diet change. It's an exercise commitment. It's not that I have to get out and run 3 miles a day, but I have to be committed to do something every day, which was a change because when you're overweight, you don't feel like walking or exercising, and then you don't feel like walking or exercising, then it makes you more sedentary, and it's very difficult to get weight off. So you have to realize that this is part of the program. You have to monitor your diet, and then you have to commit to exercise as well.
I can't eat a whole lot at one time, and so I can choose to eat things that are really delicious, you know, and things that I really want, because I'm not going to eat a significant amount and it's not going to make a big difference. But one of the things you have to do if you've had bariatric surgery is you really have to learn to eat as properly as you can, so that you get the right nutrition, you get enough protein, vitamins, and everything like that. And then at the end of a year, when you're able to eat a little more reasonably, that you make some better choices than you did a year ago.
That restricts your portions. I can take in approximately 4 ounces of food per setting, which would be 3 meals a day with no snacking in between. The idea is to not eat, or excuse me, not drink anything before, during, or after the meal. And that is so that the food is what fills you up, not the liquid. And that for me is kind of tough. I've always drank with my meals. So it's tough for me. And then you have to chew a lot. You really got to chew your food. Take small bites and constantly chew. And so it's something you constantly got to think about. You know, have I chewed this enough? You know, is this bite too big? And so it takes you a little while to eat your meals.
Food isn't that important anymore. Yeah, I still have cravings. Yeah, I still like a handful of M&Ms, but sometimes 1 or 2 is fine, and I can actually say I've had enough and walk away. I can actually leave food on the plate, even when it's cheesecake. A forkful is fine, and that would never have happened before the surgery.
Many patients say family support has been very important to their weight loss journey.
Every time like I drop a pant size, I go running to her about it, and she gets all happy. But my mom is my everything, and she's always been there.
I think that I think overall, everybody in my family is pleased with my weight loss and my ability to do more. I mean, certainly my husband has always thought I was gorgeous no matter what size I was, so I'm fortunate in that. But I think he certainly sees a difference now compared to then. I think he's having more trouble since I can't eat as much. Because there's always a lot of leftovers now.
And when you lose a lot of weight, a lot of people notice.
Like, if I see somebody I haven't seen in a while, they have to do a double take. And then they just like come up to me and ask me if it's me. Everybody
is so excited. They think I look great. They notice that I'm happier. Everything about me is just better. I feel better, I look better, I'm in a better mood, just everything.
Tickles me the most being a weight loss surgeon is that sometimes when they come in a year later, I don't remember who they are. And they look at me and they say, "You don't remember me, do you?" Because they look so dramatically different. I think it really changes their lives.
For much more on bariatric surgery and the treatment options for obesity, Go to carolinalive.com and click on Your Health, Your Decision. Thanks for joining us.